This stuff here, Yerushalmi. So, even the article, Hos edition, we're at the top line of Chav Zayin Amud Aleph, Rabbi Yesa. And in the Vilna, we're on the second last line, Chav Hey Aleph, Rabbi Yesa. Now, yesterday, we ended up with Rabbi Chagai, who said that according to in the question whether you can make your Erev Tchumen ready Thursday night, when Friday is a regular weekday, for Shabbos, you want to say, according to Rabbi Lezer, you can, and according to Rabbanan, you cannot. And we explained that according to Rabbi Lezer, holds that you can make from Erev Yontiv, when Yontiv comes out before Shabbos, to Shabbos, so you have to do it on Erev Yontiv itself, on Erev Shabbos, on Yontiv itself for Shabbos. So it must be you can skip a day, that's fine, it's not a problem, because you could have done it the next day, it's two Kedushos, but you may to do it from Erev Shabbos. Rabbanan say no. Rabbanan say you can't do it from Erev Yontif to Erev Shabbos. In other words, you can't change in the middle because you have to do it both days the same because it's Kedusha Achas. So we see that we only have precedent. You could do it immediately before the Kedusha Achas of, in this case, Yontif Shabbos. You have no precedent for seeing that they can do it a day before, which would be on Thursday. So Rabbi Yisrael going to say, no, according to Rabbanan, you might be still work on Thursday. We'll say in a moment. But I want to remind you that the article has based on Chaim, is a different shot and what the proof is from Rabbanan, by virtue of the fact that Rabbanan, according to his shot in the Mishnah, required you to go take away the Tchumen and relay it on to Yom Tov afternoon. So that just before Shabbos, that tells us that you have to you have to do it immediately before the day. Okay, I don't think we have to come out of that shot. Again, my understanding is that simply because the Rabbanan there seem to require that the air be done immediately before the actual Kedusha, so therefore you can't do it the night before. Rabbi Yossi says, I'm Rabbi Yossi, and I'm going to read Rabbi Yossi according to the way that the Rashba and the Eri changed the Girsa, the art's going to change the Girsa, but I'm going to punctuate it perhaps slightly differently, and in order to explain the Gemara according to my understanding. Rabbi Yossi says, V'lama. Why? There could be no proof from Rabbanan over here. The reason why Rabbanan have their halacha is you can't make an eir for a person for two different directions, right? Or not, say eir v'rishon, not eir v'sheni. If it's Yom Tov and Shabbos, you can't make one Safon, one Durham, or one Kimneri, one eir for erev Yom Tov Shabbos. Why? Adam. And again, you should see, Adam may Erev Yontif l'Shabbos. You can't change direction of Yontif l'Shabbos. Shekain, why? Because, and here Rashi changes it to Ein Ma'arvin. L'Adam, you can't make a Erev for this person. Here, it's Erev, should be Erev Shabbos or Shabbos, on this Erev Shabbos or Shabbos. Because this Yontif is not making for this Yontif, you can't switch it. Because you have to do Achon from Yontif to Shabbos. Certainly not from Shabbos to Yontif, it's the other way around. Now, wouldn't Erev Tavshilin allow you to change it according to Rabbanan? Perhaps yes, perhaps no. It's not being discussed here. Erev Tavshilin would allow it to be making from Yontif to Shabbos. But in any event, see, the idea is, the reason why Rabbanan made you set it in advance for both days is because you can't switch it in the middle. Because they are Kushach. So therefore they said, okay, in this case you have to do the Erev right before Yom Tov begins. You have to do it for both days. Right? Because you can't do it on Erev Shabbos, so you do it immediately before the beginning of the Kedusha on Erev Yom Tov. But here, he could do the Erev on Friday, right? There's no problem. There's no impediment in this case, and in the case where Friday comes out a weekday. So Erev Shabbos to Shabbos. So Ma'ariv to then, I feel Shabbos. You make the Erev even a day before, even on Thursday night. The whole reason here they had to do it, they did it the way they did it, is because you couldn't do it on Yom Tov, so therefore you have to do it immediately before, because you understand, made Shabbos, you had to do it beforehand. And you said can't do it on Shabbos itself. They have to do it immediately beforehand, and but it could be that, and it could be even. I'm not sure the way it doesn't come out to it, but could be according to Rabbanan. In the case scenario where you have to come out on Friday, you could also do it on the Erev Tchumen on Wednesday night. Why Thursday night? Maybe even Wednesday night you can do it. Okay, Pnei Moshe and Korban Eidah say something similar, even though they don't change the girsa. But in any event, they don't change the girsa as much. But in any event, they according to the lashon of the Korban Eidah, Pnei Moshe, the Korban Eidah more so, it says Tatabaya Mecholhen. So presumably it could work also if you got to Chicago, just like you could do it on Thursday night for Shabbos when Friday is a week. They could do it on Wednesday night for Yontif if Thursday night is if Friday is on Friday. If Yontif is on Friday. Of course, the Iker Kinyan only takes place on Friday night, so maybe early in the week it's kind of like checking the Eruv. Checking the Eruv of the city. You don't check it during the week because you're afraid things will break in the meantime. So therefore, I guess maybe the way of Tchumen also logic dictates that you should put there as late as possible, and maybe Thursday night is reasonable to assume it's not going to get destroyed before Shabbos, but not before Thursday night. Could be. So the Gemara goes on to record additional discussion between Rabbi Lezer and Rabbanan. Amalei Rabbi Lezer, Eta Moili Shim Erev B'Kikar B'Rishon. Don't you conceive me if you made an Erev on the first day with bread? Shemar B'Kikar B'Rishon, you would intend to use it on the bread on the second day. Shimlacha B'Rishon, if it's consumed on the first day, She'ev L'Rishon Ein L'Shay, it's only for the first day, not for the second day. If it's one Chad Kedusha, like you were saying, again, he understand. He seems he didn't realize he was saying Misofek. He thought he was saying Bevadai. So therefore, it's one Kedusha. So then it should be okay, even if the bread got eaten up on the first day. You already made the air for both days. So seemingly, he responded to them. Don't you can see that you don't make an Erev L'Chatchila, like we just said for Yontif, for a Shabbos, right? And why not? Says Korban Eidah. V'I b'shnei kedusha saying, Lama le'emutar la'arim Yontif l'Shabbos. Afilu ir Erev Yontif. They didn't make an Erev for Erev Yontif. Take the bread initially for the first time on Yontif to make the Erev, right? So, right, if it's not Chad Kedusha, at least the Chumrah, so you should be able to make it on Yontif. You shouldn't have to start the process before Shabbos. Start it on Shabbos itself. Why do you have to start the process before any according to you? Because you yourself have said you put it down from before Shabbos, and we said in the Gemara it has to be the same bread for both days, right? You take this whether you take it home or not, it has to be the same bread which you take back the second day. So it must be that that's at least don't you can see at least that so it seems to be that's kushachas. I don't know if I stressed this yesterday, but I should have. It says in the Gemara where it says if you have to use the same bread, it says the shavin shleid nen b'sal. My blessed agrees he's supposed to use the same bread. Supposed to use the same bread, not a separate bread. It must be that it's you. Even your mother, there's some element of kedusha achasi. Okay, halacha ches. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rosh Hashanah Yirei Shema Tisaber. Rosh Hashanah, which you in the old days you were afraid it's going to be 2 days, before they made an institution of 2 days. Yerushalmi Eruvin. You can make 2 Eruvin. From it says Yerushalmi Mizrach, the first day Ma'ariv is to the east, Shemarav is saying to the west, or vice versa. Rishon L'Ma'arav, Hashem L'Mizrach. Eruvin Rishon, again like previously, I have an Eruvin on the first day, Sheni Kivnei, the next day it's to be like the city. Sheni or vice versa, Erev on the second day, previously Iri, and the B'nai be like people must say the first day. Lo hodu lo chachamim. Chachamim did not agree with this, and this it says because the Sabbath Kedusha Achasein has to be the same Erev for both. Okay, so it says what these Balgun. You have a machlekes, Rav and Shmuel. Actually, the Korban Eidah says it's Rav and Shmuel. It's Shmuel. I don't think it appears here. I think it appears in the Gemara in Beitza where the Iker Sugi is. Okay, but anyway, Shoy Psila. You have leftover wick from when it was extinguished on Shabbos. So now you want to use it the next night, which is Yontif. So is it would you say the fact that it's extinguished on Shabbos means it's a chana from Shabbos to Yontif? Shori Medura, saying it was left over from a bonfire. Shori Shemen, or saying it was left over from oil. Shekavah b'Shabbos, the extinguished Shabbos. Ma'al Yontif, can you light it that night on Yontif? Is it like a chana or not? Rabbi Chanina Tavein, Aser. Rabbi Chanina both said it's Aser. Rabbi Yechon Amar Mutter. Rabbi Yechon says it's Mutter. Other mana, coming Rabbi Yehuda. Mana said for Rabbi Yehuda, mechapla psila gabe beitza. Was it? What does it mean? Let's see. Put a coordinator here. Ikorad achsugi beitza the perkama. The primary suya is in Beitza. Bahasam wrote that Dalmas Beitza wants to draw an inference between an egg, which is laid on Shabbos, Lepsila, and the wick, which got extinguished Shabbos, or Parcha Shabbos. And Gemara asks, "My Dam Lepsila Beitza." What's the comparison? Pesila Asur Mishum Shuksa LeShabbos. The Pesila is also because it became Muktzah for Shabbos. The Damil Ner Chanukah Shuksa Mitzvah, like Chanukah candles, which are the Muktzah for the Mitzvah. Shas Ben Alachah Shekava, which you're not allowed to benefit from them after they get extinguished. He'll come beyond the Samach Shabbos Asura. Therefore, by Yontav, which comes immediately after Shabbos, is also the Kedusha Achasen. Because one long Kedusha, as you said according to Rabbanan, previous Mishnah, of a Beitz Asur Mishum HaChana, that a Beitz is also because of HaChana. The Chol Beitz is Yalda Idna Mies Mogamala. And the egg, which is completed today, was laid on Yontav. It was finished yesterday, which was Shabbos. So that might be not comparable to Psila. There's no question of Achona. That's a question. One's a question of Mukta, one's a question of Achona. How can you draw the comparison between the two? And that's what I was asking. You're going to copy Psila to Beitzah, was going to say the same sugya? How can you say the same sugya? So Armalei said, the non-chamina, for that which we see, the non is the on that we see, chamyon rabbanim adami, you see rabbanim make a connection. Hadam ramah, yada. But this teacher said, must be the same thing. So the raise in mad generally call him a dam, so the base meaning like that the Beitzah mishum muktzah asura. Also, Beitza, there's an issue actually of Muktzah, V'lo Chana, not because of Chana. Came looks to the Shabbos, what's its Muktzah for Shabbos? Beyond the Asur, so it's also on Yontif, which follows the Shabbos. So we draw a parallel between the two sukkahs. Now, Yerushalmi Eruvin brings down from the order, so that he actually had the sugya of the Spaugun before Halacha Ches. And because the continuation of the previous sugya, of Kedusha Achas, Shtei Kedushos. So therefore, Rosh Hashanah doesn't come in the middle. It's just Shabbos and Yontif. It doesn't. If it's here, okay, it's here, but it's really about Shabbos and Yontif in general, not about anything to do with our Mishnah, which spoke about Rosh Hashanah. Okay, continuing on in that vein. Mishum Arbas came on the name of the forest Canim. They said, if you add this Shabbos Yontif scenario, and the Erev is in the first day, so it's not Kedusha Achas. The second day, he's like the people of the city. Rabbi Chuna Shem Rab said, Arbas came, Malach is like these forest Canim. Rabbi Chisda boy, Rabbi Chisda asked, Michal Felshi Tasi the Rav. The Rav seems to contradict himself. It says, Taman, over there, Avile Shtei Kedushos. So his tam means over here, right? He makes two kedushos. V'ka Avile Kedusha Achas. Yet here, in other words, by Shorei Psila, he says one kedusha, that which is also it's a muktzah on Shabbos, now let using Yontif. So is it two kedushas, and therefore the Erev doesnn't work for Erev the first day, doesn't work the second day. Or it's one kedusha, and therefore the muktzah on the first day is also muktzah on the second day. Seems to be a good paradox. And we bring down again this the Spaugun, which very often happens to Yerushalmi. The Spaugun Shor B'Sila Shem B'Dur B'Shor Shabbos Shem Shekavu B'Shabbos Ma'al B'Yot Rabbi Chinet Rabbi Mir Asur Rabbi Yochanan Mutar. Rabbi Mir Kumi Rabbi Yonah Chap B'Sila Gai Beitz. I mean Ma'ad Anan Chamei Rabbanim Adamin La Adam Ra Yada Yada. Okay, so all that is the question which we're dealing with here. Rabbi Acham Lo Amin Ufon. Rabbi Acham said the following statement from his learning, from his Rabbeim, that which was Yoliv. Rabbi Yossi Amin De'ah. Rabbi Yossi said on his own chiddush. Arbas Kanim Rabbi Eliezer. Those Arbas came like Rabbi Eliezer, who he said in the Mishnah yesterday, that's to Shtei Kedushos Hein. You can make error from one day, one way the first day, and the other way the next day. Or one Erev and one no Erev. The Echnami Korabanan could be it's one Kedusha, at least L'chumra, right? So therefore, they're not going to be Mako like two Kedushas. They can be, but they're Machmir, that not going to be Mako either way. But they're going to be Machmir. And they say it's Kedusha Achas in terms of Muktzah. So I was going to say, whoa, there's a Chumrah though here, which we should Machmir also. If you want to, he said sounds like he's passing like Arbus Canaan, and it was Erev is eaten on the first day. He's like Bnei on the second day. Maybe you have to be Machmir. Let's see how the Pnei Moshe explains it. Quite elaborate, a little bit elaborately, but. Omar Imanu said, "Kum Rabbi Yosef." Yosef kum for Yosef. May Rabbi Yehuda ain't a look Rabbi Yehuda. Wait a second. Machlokes are made the only pass like Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, now this is not our sugi here. It's a different sugi. Let's see Pnei Moshe. So Omar Imanu kum Yosef Hikshol Kaimel Rabbi May Rabbi Yehuda. Ain't a look Rabbi Yehuda. We're not passing Rabbi Yehuda. And the Machlokes are Rabbi Yehuda. Uba Arbus can't Rabbi Lezer. The Reb Chaim takes out the words of Arbus can't Rabbi Lezer, but the Pnei Moshe leaves them in. Regardless, it's the same. It's the same whether you leave it in or not. The pshat is the same. But the Pnei Moshe does leave it in. It says Arbus Kain Rabbi Lezer. I'm passing like Arbus Kain by Arbus Kain. Once Arbus Kain passing Rabbi Lezer should take kedushas. But what about Rabbi Yehuda? You have to eat machmir like Rabbi Yehuda. What's Rabbi Yehuda? Okay. Uplutra made Rabbi Yehuda come parak down maslisin. Later on, it's machlokes the fourth parak. Mishi yatsa leilech leir shem arvim ba. Somebody went out to go to a city in which there was an Erev. And his friend made him go back home. All the people are allowed to go. The Rabbi Yehuda, he's allowed to go to that city. All the rest of the people are not allowed to go. The Rabbi Yehuda. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Right, Meir said, "Koshi yochel arev v'lo irev." Anybody who could have made an erev and did not make an erev, harez a chamar gamal. He's a chamar gamal. He loses his status. So Pnei Moshe is a bit cryptic. It's in Perek Dal Halacha test. Somebody who left this city, go to another city, in which they want to make an erev, and he was the designated shliach to make an erev on behalf of all the people. And his friend made it go back before he got to the proper place. He didn't make the erev, so he's allowed to use that erev which he would have made, since he had been machzik b'derech, and he was on his way to make the erev. It's like an onius konesh fisa eating a difference, and all the people of the city are also, because their erev was never completed, because the shliach came back. The mayor says, "I raise the shliach is chamar gamal," since he should have made the erev and he didn't make an erev, and he never said I should be shovis in that place. He's like the people of the city, but we're not sure. Because maybe maybe there was enough to make an erev there, so therefore he's stuck. He's like to be the city, like he made an erev, and he loses the area on both sides, like we always say about chamar gamal. So in any event, the Hashta now says Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda kavachomer, shir kavachomer, ma im tamon if there shelo. This is actually the reading first of Gemara. My touch shelo zacha eruv. There where it wasn't Zeicher. He didn't actually place the Erev, right? As pretty much says Sharech Zero Chavero. The main friend go back. Lo Yisrael Meshiachor Etzra Glov Mibnei Iro. So it says Pnei Moshe says Lo Yisrael Meshiachor Etzra Mibnei Iro B'Tmiyah Klomar Vadi B'Din Shalom Lomar Shachas Lo Mibnei Iro. We should certainly say he doesn't deviate from the other B'Il city. El Shekem Neiro. He should be like people city. Shem Shochol, so Sha'arav Shem B'Shilon, Kari Awesome, because they sent him. If he made Masur, and if he can't go, they can't go. Afuyi also, so too he shouldn't be able to go. Kachay Abatin. That should be the halacha. Vafil Achi, nevertheless, Chazina we see, the Israeli Rabbi Yehuda holds, Sha'akas Ragli Neiro, V'Mutar, he uprooted himself from the people of the city. V'Mutar is permitted to go to new Tchum. V'Chom Neiro Asur, all the people are awesome. Right, so again, back to my mind, and yet he does, right? Conscious Zochalo Lo Koshken. Here we so because Moshe conscious here he actually made an error on the first day. Lo Koshken Shnema Lo Shakas Raglim Neiro. he shall be considered uprooted from the people of the city. Becha Marta, the whole the Arbas came to Rabbi Lezer Shirley Baha. That since Rabbi Lezer, the Arbas came home to Rabbi Lezer, in this respect, the Yontav Shabbos Kishlei Kedusha say in Rima Nami, we say Shim Necha B'Sheni, Shim Necha Eruvin Rishon, Sheker Shnei B'Sheni Shnei Iro, Varei Tzilak Atzom Me'em Mitchila. He removed himself. He's no longer part of them, and if you hold the Chumrah that's Kedusha Achas, like the Gemara Beitza, so then here you have to go to Chumrah Kedusha Achas, and he can't go the second day to wherever he wants. He's stuck with whatever he did the first day. Well, it doesn't answer the question. Just ask, it doesn't answer. So again, remind you about the Order Zerua. The next one also doesn't seem necessarily go on Halacha Ches. It seems to go back on Halacha Zayin. So here, because like we said yesterday, but we mentioned today, here Bekika Rishon, if you use a loaf of bread the first day, Yontif for Shabbos, Mar Bekika Rishon, you use a loaf of bread you use a loaf of bread the second day, or Bravo Sakir, it's got to be the same loaf of bread. Which of course, I said, Rabbi asked Rabbi Lezer, how come? You don't take Kedushas, why? But even Rabbi Lezer agrees, it has to be the same piece of bread. If you ma'arev with the alternative, by Erev Tchumen, you actually can be ma'arev by going Ben Hashmashos and standing there. And they're going to Erev that way. The whole idea of leaving food there, so you don't have to stand there Ben Hashmashos. Erev Shabbos, you just toss it, leave your food there. But if you're ma'arev b'aglav, actually, Parishon, ma'arev b'aglav b'sheni, then you have to be ma'arev b'aglav in the second day as well. So that the gear is a bit messed up. Or I should do the carbonate, but first I should do the first carbonate, which explains why it has to be the same kikkar, which is a nice explanation. He does have to say anything. Because already a designated eruv. Now another piece of bread that's mikra sham eruv b'yontif, because then you have to designate it as eruv b'yontif. Have to designate as eruv bread v'avlei kachona shemechem b'yontif Shabbos and be achona preparing from yontif Shabbos. Okay, now there's a change of gear. So hakikas ire b'raglov lo yare b'kikar. You did your feet the first day. You shouldn't use a kikar the second day. B'kikar ma'ay b'raglov. If you use the kikar the first day, but you go b'raglov the second day. B'chenu b'bavli. The Chasalka Daitach, and this, we assume the Kach Lo Yar B'Kikar. Why shouldn't you use the bread the second day? Mishum Shnir Kamechem Yontav Shabbos. You're doing Achon for Yontav Shabbos. So it's a Davar Chodesh Mashlo Esam Esmo. Especially you have to verbalize it. You're doing something which you didn't do yesterday. Okay, so the Gemara says. Next line, not going to go with the Korbanei, going to go with Chaim and the Yerushalmi Kibushuto. Heich matam raglov, just like you said, but we did the first raglov loyera b'kikar. You shouldn't do the second day b'kikar. Kavosa. So too, if you went b'raglov, not b'kikar, you went b'raglov the first day loyera b'raglov, shouldn't go back the second day b'raglov, because it's a davar chodesh. It's a new act. Not leaving the same the bread. You can leave the same piece of bread there, but here you're going again. So it's clear. It looks like a chana from Yontif to Shabbos. So it says Yerushalmi, you're right. We really shouldn't let him because it is l'davar chodesh. But lohakil ani shein lo kikar. They have to be lenient because an ani might not be able to leave a loaf of bread there. It doesn't have luxury of leaving a loaf of bread and not eating it. So therefore, they said, okay, you can go baraglov. Why it's more lenient was a cool question we'll deal with a few moments. But they were lenient. Well, I should say. We'll elaborate on leniency in a few moments. But leniency is, it looks like Davar Chodesh, but still, we have to be mako for an ani that he could go out and do baraglov. Okay, says more fine. So just like you say, if you went out baraglov the first day, you shouldn't be able to go out to be ma'arav with the kikar the second day. The Kavasav went b'kikar. You shouldn't lay out a b'kikar. You shouldn't be able to take the second breath. It says a baraglov, which should say b'kikar. Okay, according to that, but it's all these gesos. Kind of Yerushalmi Kibushuta, they're from the Leiden manuscript. Okay, so using the same piece of bread, which is fine. But you're taking it again. It's a big ma'aseh. Take a piece of bread out on Yotif to 2,000 hours away from the city. So it looks like you're looking at Davar Chodesh. So the Marsayin, the issue, right? Why are you allowed to do this? You shouldn't be allowed to use that bread. So lahakel, and here they change it to la'ashir, not lasos. They make it to ashir. They also make it for, they don't just make it for an they make it for an usher. They want to make a person who's able to go home and leave a piece of bread there, to require him to leave a piece of bread there, so to require him to go out to go out and stand there for Shabbos night. No, they didn't take a piece of bread. Okay, again, to start middle sentence. Kavasab kikar loyer bekikar laakil asher shaloy tzei b'rav glove. There's not go out and be a marv with b'raglaim. Okay, now says Yerushalmi Hech madat Amar Taman beraglev lo yare bekikar. That what you said that beraglev lo yare bekikar. Kavasab kikar lo yare beraglev. You said if he did it the first time with it, went out with his and stood there. You said we're not going to let him do the kikar the second time. Only if he did a kikar the first time, you do the kikar the second time. When Baraglov, the first time, the second time, he has to go Baraglov too. Okay, so what about the other way around? Kikar lo yare Baraglov. If he went the first time with a kikar, then he should have to go with the kikar again. So Rabbi Yamshem ben Taman also so holy chliro. They made it like he's going back to his city. In other words, he already established a residency there the night before because he put a piece of bread there. Yes, it's true, he has to do it again. But they made it as if he's going back to the same place. And therefore, he doesn't have to say anything either. This is not so much in the Gemara itself. But since, this is what the Farshim say, since he already was there, and it's not a Davar Chodesh because people say, oh, he had a bread there. He made his Kumimokak for yesterday. He's just going back to the same place. So therefore, that's even though they said that he went Baraglov, he shouldn't be married Kikar. It looks like a Davar Chodesh. You're taking the Kikar. They said they wasn't saying Kikar. Didn't do a Kikar yesterday. But when he did a Kikar yesterday, he can go back Baraglov today because you're just going back to your own place. Nobody's going to look at it as a Davar Chodesh. Okay. That's the end of that sugya. Halacha tes. Bottom Rabbi Yehuda said, "Matzah damak kol b'yontav rishon." A person can make a tonight on a basket, the first day of Rosh Hashanah. V'achla b'sheni and eat it on the second day. V'chein beitzah shel rishon, so to an egg, which is later the first day. Tochel b'sheni can eat on the second day. Lo chacham mecham. Did not see the point in this. Let's see. Matzah damak kol shel tevel yom rishon shel Rosh Hashanah. Ima yom chol today's weekday. Today's the truma haleil. I make a truma today. Yom kodesh today is the kodesh and var klum. Meaningless. They might be Truma Yontif. Can't think of Truma Yontif. The Shvus Rabbani, was us the Rabbani, Sechas Beito. Machar man the next day say, Yimesel Kodesh, yes, the Kodesh Yom Chol, Tezu Shamati Asmo, Truma Alelu. Then what I said yesterday, it should be Truma this, should be Truma taking effect today. Yom Kodesh Esmo Chol yesterday was Chol and today's Kodesh. Kvari Truma Esmo was ready Truma yesterday. You can eat the basket which is fixed no matter what. Mashar Truma leave over the Truma obviously which you don't eat. Below Chacham the Sabbath Tabak Kush Achasein. Maybe we give Truma the whole thing by Rosh Hashanah or specifically by Rosh Hashanah. Kush Achasein and you can't take off Truma on either day. Okay, and that's it I think for today. It's the bottom of the Ometz. We'll stop here.